Time to get inspired, develop, and improve your yoga knowledge in English. You're listening to Your Yoga in English, a podcast for non-native English-speaking yogis and yoga teachers that want to practice or teach yoga worldwide. My name is Annie, the founder of Enga Unite, and here to guide you on your way to become the confident, effective, and knowledgeable English-speaking yogi you want to be. Hello. So today's chat, we're going to speak about what to include in your yoga teacher CV. Over the past months, really, I was going to say weeks, but over the past months, we've been speaking about CVs with a lot of our students and clients because studios are opening up again. Maybe people are thinking of moving abroad and want to apply for jobs, teaching jobs specifically in other countries. Or some actually have just finished their yoga teacher training and have never created a yoga teacher CV before. So where you are at for this chat doesn't matter. The yoga teacher CV is applicable to anyone at any stage in a yoga teaching career. There's a few things I want to say before I start speaking what to include exactly. And I think one of the most important things to bear in mind is that a CV, well, first of all, what is a CV? CV is a document that you send when you apply for a job. So in this case, it's a document that you give to the hirer or the employer of a yoga studio or a yoga school or a yoga center, maybe a community center. So anyone that will hire you to teach for them. And on that document, you include your working experience, your teaching experience, your teaching certificates, and many other things I will explain after this. But it's important to know that a CV is different in every country. So for example, in the Netherlands, the CVs are very basic. They write down maybe the name of the school, whether it's a working experience or the school itself, the year that they were there, that they worked there, or that they studied there, and that's it really. But with a yoga teacher CV, and especially in English CVs, we also write down skills, achievements, and other things that I'm going to explain later on below the workplace or maybe the school, the institute that you studied. So it's a little bit different in every country. I am not aware how it is everywhere in the world, and that's why we speak about how to write an English CV, because most of you here are English learners as well. You want to live or work in places where they speak English. And I think the CV that I'm going to explain today will cover a lot of these countries and it will be very similar everywhere. All right. Another thing is that on a CV now, after a bit of experience, after teaching or maybe doing your teaching certificate, it's also different to when you first started getting into the working world, let's say. Because obviously when you first learn how to write a CV, it's only your education and maybe your interests and your skills. But on this CV, we also have to include experience, and whether it's working experience, teaching experience, and all the experience studying yoga. So let's dive in. Let's see what to include. Before you start writing all of that you think you should include, I think it's very important that you sit down, that you reflect, and you think of the following questions. So I'm going to take you through a few questions that I think are really important to think about and maybe get some answers to, and will also help you to actually get a very clear idea of what is necessary to include and what are things that you can leave out. So if you like, grab pen and paper, write down the questions with me, and you can, after this chat, reflect for yourself and get an answer to these questions, maybe over the weekend or when you're ready to write your CV. So question number 1, what type of establishments are you interested in working in? or working for. So, would you like to work in a yoga school, a yoga studio, maybe a gym, or a community center? Do you know of someone that owns these places? Or do you still have to look for them? What type of workplace would you like to work in? What type of workplace would you like to work in? And question 2. What type of classes are you trained in or are you qualified to teach? So what are you trained in and what are you qualified in to teach? Or what are you willing to offer? Because sometimes we do a very extensive yoga teacher training, but we don't actually want to teach all of those styles. So what do you want to teach really? What type of classes or maybe workshops? Maybe other types of training, maybe you want to form part of a teacher training group. What do you want to teach exactly? And then number 3, what are the core values or the mission statement of the workplace that you want to apply for? So what are the core values or the mission statement of the workplace you want to apply for? And this could be very different from place to place. And this is why it's very important we think of these things before we write down everything that we want to include in our CV. So for example, does the place that you want to apply for promote inclusivity? Or are there classes geared towards an older audience? Or are they more focused on offering a form of exercise, like at the gym? What type of offerings do they have and why? So what are their core values and what is their mission statement? Who do they want to attract and why? And question number 4, who will be receiving your CV? Is this a studio owner or maybe a front desk assistant? Maybe it's someone that does it for the school or the studio and it's an HR manager, or maybe a center where they have jobs, so it's a job center. Who exactly will be receiving your CV? Number 5, what type of qualifications, certificates, and continuing education have you completed to become a teacher? But also, what type of qualifications, certificates, or education have you completed that has related skills? I'm going to speak about that in a second. So what type of qualifications, certificates, and continuing education have you completed to become a teacher? Maybe you've obtained a 200-hour yoga teacher certificate and you did 50 hours of yin or 50 hours of yogic history. Anything that relates to the job that you want to apply for, but also the workplace that you want to apply for. And then question number 6, what type of skills and experience do you have that this workplace is interested in? So what type of skills and experience do you have that this workplace is interested in? And this is a very, very important question, because very often when I prepare interviews with teachers or with English students, we tend to speak about ourselves and we tend to speak about things that we find interesting, things that we like to do in our spare time, so for our hobbies, but we don't really mention the things that are very, very interesting or necessary, useful, that could improve the workplace. So for example, your future employer doesn't want to hear about the subjects that you took in high school. They are not interested in that. But now that we're speaking about a yoga teacher CV or applying as a yoga teacher, they will want to know about your experience working for maybe a yoga or a wellness brand. So maybe these skills are not necessarily the skills you need as a yoga teacher, but these skills prove that you have knowledge of yoga and wellness brands, that you speak the language people speak among these groups of people, that you understand a little bit of their marketing maybe, or you understand the products. Maybe it's a brand that offers props or yoga mats. So any experience, skills, maybe achievements that this job would be interested in. So not the subjects in school, not what your favorite food is or where you like to go on holiday. Really specifically, what can you offer this workplace that will help them improve or become better or be more inventive or innovative? What can help this workplace? So I'm going to summarize quickly. Question number 1, what type of workplace are you interested in working for? Question 2, what type of classes are you trained in and willing to offer? Number 3, what are the core values or the mission statement of the workplace that you apply for? Number 4, who will be receiving your CV? Number 5, what types of qualifications, certificates, and education have you completed to become a teacher, but also show skills and experience that are relevant for this job? And the last one, what type of skills and experience do you have that this workplace is interested in? I really recommend, I highly recommend that you find the answers, very clear and specific answers that are true for you to these questions, because knowing the answers to these questions will not only help you to write your CV, but also your cover letter. And your cover letter is a very different thing, but it also comes with your CV. And the cover letter we're going to speak about in our course, the English for Yoga Teachers course, starting in September. And it's a very important part of your CV. So knowing the answers to the questions that I just asked will massively help you to actually create your CV and your cover letter. Now, we have the answers and it's time to actually create the CV. How do you do this? For the people that are watching, any idea how do you do this? How do you write your CV? We've got all the answers, we know more or less what to include. Where do you start? With the info of your certifications. Yes, it would be one of the first things to mention, but what about your name? What about your name and your title? The thing that's very important and needs to be on top, very big, very visible, is your name, a title, and any extra things that you would like to add. So, your name, your first name. If you have 2 first names, you can include 2. If you have 3, also 4, also. But your first name, your last name, or your last names, then your title. So this could be 2HR RYT, so that's 200-hour registered yoga teacher. Then we have letters or pronouns. So for example, it could be she, her, whatever you feel identified with. And then optionally, you could also include the styles that you're trained in. So for example, we have first names, last names, your title, optionally the styles, and pronouns. Those are also optional. So we have Maria Joana Fernandez Murcia, 200 HR RYT, Hatha and Vinyasa, for example. Obviously, you can choose to only include 1 first name or 1 last name, but I would be very specific and be very detailed about it because it's an official document. It's a very formal document in a sense. One thing to note that sometimes you see RYT and sometimes you see CYT. It's actually good to know that RYT stands for Registered Yoga Teacher and CYT is Certified Yoga Teacher. And it's important to include those things. I will come to that after as well. Then underneath your name, your title, maybe the styles, and maybe the pronouns, write down the contact details. So your email, write down your email. If possible, use a professional email address. Very often people are refused or denied because they use a very unprofessional email address. So do not write anything like yolo@hotmail or gmail.com, but use your names or use something related to your yoga brand or your yoga trademark if you have one. So email, update your email address. Then we have phone. Very important, especially for you here that are either wanting to move abroad or teach in different countries. Always, 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 always use your country code. You'll be surprised how many people forget to use the country code. And the country code is are the 2 or 3 numbers before your phone number that will help you to call people from abroad. So for example, in Spain, it's plus 34. In Mexico, from the top of my head, it's plus 52. So always include your country code. Then your website, if you have one. It's a great way to show who you are and what you've been up to, what you've been working on. And social media likes, if you like. This is optional. If you use social media to promote your classes or to show who you are working with and what you've been working on in terms of yoga, I would include it, especially like a Facebook page or an Instagram account. However, if you also use Instagram or Facebook for your private photos and you post pictures of your parties every weekend, I would either delete those pictures or consider making your account invisible so other people can't find you. Because whether or not you are including social media on your CV, if people are interested in you, they have read through your CV and they think, we're going to ask this person if they want to come for an interview or for a demo or for an audition, because this happens with yoga teaching jobs, they will try and find out who you are and they will find out where you are online. So make your account invisible if you haven't, or consider doing it if you're using it only for private use at the moment. Or you can delete party pictures. I would definitely consider doing that. So summarizing point number 2, contact details. We have email, updated email address, your phone number, don't forget the country code, a website if you have one, and social media if you use it for professional or for your yoga business, your yoga jobs, whatever you want to call it. Another thing is to be really, really sure that especially your phone and your email are up to date. You'll be surprised to see or to hear how many people miss out on amazing or great opportunities because they hadn't updated their contact details. It's a real shame. So always make sure that this is up to date. All right, next one. Teaching and work experience. After you've listed down all of these details that we need for people to find us and to actually contact us, we want to write down the teaching and work experience. So we always start with the experience that we are having right now or just finished. So from your most recent to your earliest experience. If you don't have any teaching experience yet, you can skip this part and I will explain after what you can do instead. So, yoga teaching experience. Write down the name of the workplace and their location. State the role and the time period that you work there. And list between 2 to 5 skills or responsibilities or maybe achievements that you have had when you worked for this workplace. I'm going to give you an example. So, name of the workplace and their location could be Lotus Yoga Studio in Barcelona, Spain. Then the role and the time period. So that could be Yin and Vinyasa, September 2020, dash current. Then the skills, so 2 to 5 responsibilities and skills or experiences or achievements. So this could be thorough class preparation for multi-level classes and daily class or studio setup. It could be sequencing and designing creative classes according to seasonal themes, or monthly teacher assistant at reoccurring moon ritual workshops. For example, it could be nurturing student-teacher relationships by making sure of making an effort to getting to know every or each individual. Or it could be encouraging new students to join Lotus Yoga Studio through word of mouth or maybe social media promotion. So these are 2 to 5 things that you can write down. So think of the responsibilities or the tasks that you have had at the places that you have worked at. If you only have worked for yourself at the moment, because many new yoga teachers especially haven't had the chance yet to work for a studio due to COVID, I'm sure that you have done things by yourself as well. Maybe you have to keep your own schedule, maybe you have to take your own bookings, you will have to do your own promotion. All of these skills are valid too. So whether you have done this at a workplace or you have done this for your own business, these are valid and these need to be on your CV. Now, if you haven't got any teaching experience yet, you can write down every other job that has contributed to the skills and the qualifications or the experience that you need as a yoga teacher. So think of jobs that display the knowledge that you have of specific things or specific groups of people, of specific material or programs or software that you can use in your yoga teaching job. It could also be certain people skills or characteristics like showing initiative or being determined and always hardworking and always on time. So the skills and experiences that you haven't used yet as a yoga teacher, but you have obtained as not a yoga teacher, but as your whatever other job you did, are called transferable skills. So these are not direct skills that we use as a yoga teacher every day, but they are skills that you can use in one role and then simply apply them to another role, or they are developed in one role and then are developed in another role. So these could be, I'm going to give you a very specific example. So for my first job, I did administration in a language school. So I had to make sure that everything was organized in terms of administration. So I learned how to book classes and courses, how to write formal emails and letters, or how to record payments and fill in documents, or introducing new students to the school and introducing them to the teachers. So these are skills that we can easily then transfer to a yoga teaching or yoga administration or receptionist job. So think of skills that you have used in other jobs before that you can use now as a yoga teacher, because the root skills are used in many other jobs. And again, same thing here. Write down the workplace and the location, the time period that you worked there, and 2 to 5 responsibilities that you've had. So another example could be International Language School - Seville or Sevilla, Spain. And there I was a front desk agent from June 2018 to September 2020. I'm making this up. These are not real experiences, but these are ideas or inspiration you could use. Then I was responsible for booking private and group classes and using software such as, I can only think of software we use in yoga, but Sutra or Mind Body or Momo Yoga. So booking software really. Then marketing, communication and public relations skills. And then maybe customer service, so registering new students, answering phone calls, answering questions about the curriculum, give recommendations. You will think of the skills that you have used and you can now use as a yoga teacher in the job that you want to apply for. But also think of the skills that you have used in other jobs that you can list as your experience that are relevant to the job that you want to apply for. Okay. Another key aspect here, very important, is sometimes we feel that certain skills or experience don't count because we haven't been paid for it. But any volunteering job or work where you assisted is valid. Any experience that you have put an effort in and that you have had the chance to develop your skills or to get working experience is valid. It doesn't matter if you haven't been paid to do it. Okay? It's very important that we include these things too. All right, so far we have our name and title, contact details, teaching experience and work experience. Now let's have a look at our training and education, because this comes pretty down at the bottom. And why I'm saying that actually is that even though you apply for a yoga school or studio, whatever it is, or as a yoga teacher, your certificate of becoming a yoga teacher is not as important as the experience you've had or who you are as a person. I know schools that have hired people as yoga teachers that weren't actually qualified yet. And I also know that many schools prefer people that have been trained with that same school. So they can hire you maybe as a front desk agent or assistant, and then you slowly grow into the role of a yoga teacher. So your yoga certificate will not be the only thing considered when you apply for a yoga teacher job. Remember that. Your yoga certificate will not be the only one thing considered when you apply for a yoga teacher job. Okay? Important. Now, training and education. Here we write down anything that's related to the skills that you need as a teacher. So we have diplomas, certificates, continuing education, maybe degrees or exams, everything that's relevant for the job that you apply for. And we always structure it very easily. The title of your course, so this could be a classification or the level, then the name of the school or education center, and the time period. So for example, 200-hour yoga teacher training, Beautiful Soul, Seville, Spain, June 2019. If you want, again, you can list 2 to 5 skills, achievements, experiences that you have had here or that you have learned here. It's optional, it's not obligatory. Another example could be Bachelor of Science in Psychology, the University of Madrid in Spain, and then September 2014, May 2019. And again, if you like it, only if you like, you can use or write down skills and experiences that you've had here. I'm going to the last part. So point number 5, any other skills that are relevant. So any other skills that could relate to this teaching job. As I mentioned already, booking software, for example. It could be marketing, communication. Most of us now have pretty advanced skills on Instagram, on our YouTube studio, or on Planoly, or later when you schedule your posts. Facebook business as well is another skill, or photo and video editing, whatever program you use. All of these are skills that you can write down in other related skills. You could make little categories of social media skills, or teaching skills, or communication skills. So teaching skills could be creative prop use or trauma informed or chair yoga. That would be a certificate most of the time. It could be another certificate or training in advanced anatomy. So anything that you have studied a lot and that you're pretty advanced in, anything that could really benefit the studio or the place that you apply for, and also your job and your role there. That's it. That's it. No more than that. Obviously, there are always things that you can add specifically depending on where you apply or what you have experienced and what you have learned. But we want to keep it very brief and pretty simple, because if you write them a 3 or 4 or 5 pages long CV or resume, whatever you call it, they're not going to look at it. We want to keep it down to maybe 1 or 2 pages and really no more than that. 1 or 2 pages, no more than that. We want our CV to stand out. If you have seen a teaching job somewhere, maybe online or at a studio close by, you will not be the only one applying for that job. You really, really want to think through how you can improve this company, what you have to offer this type of business, and why you suit the role. Whether you have teaching experience or not, why do you make a perfect candidate for this role? Any questions? Any questions? I'm here for you. I want to add to this as well that from your CV, we need to write a cover letter. And the cover letter, I already introduced it at the start of the chat. The cover letter is a 1-page letter, so 1 A4, on which you go into more depth about the skills and experience that you have. This is a very different chat, and it's a big training that I would love to do one day. And it is actually included in the English for Yoga course, which we start in September. So this course focuses mainly on the language that we use in English, in our English yoga classes, and as English speaking yoga teachers. But I do think it's important that we know a little bit more of the business side and work-wise, how to actually get jobs. So we have included also a section or a module on how to write your CV, your cover letter, how to design it, whether or not you should include a photo, what fonts to use, what colors to use. It's a very strategic thing. So if you are interested in that, drop an emoji in the comments, so here on Instagram or on Facebook, and I will give you more information. Also, if you want to refer to everything I said or everything I told you about today, I've posted the blog. So in our blog, you can use all the things that I've spoken about today and maybe use it as a reference for writing your CV. And maybe you're not ready right now, but you do need to in the future. It will stay there. It's always good to have a CV and have it up to date. Because if you have a CV up to date and you see a teaching opportunity, you can always give it straight away. You don't have to start writing it. Because I promise you, a good CV takes time. It really takes time to write. Okay. I'm gonna love you and leave you right here and now. I'm going to add the link to the blog so you have a reference to go to when you're ready to write your CV. And if you have questions, always ask. Always ask. Send me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, by email. And I hope you have a great weekend and see you next week again. Thank you, everyone. I see you later.
You listen to Your Yoga in English, brought to you by Enga Unite, a unique online learning platform for non-native English-speaking yogis and yoga teachers. If you feel inspired and like what you learned today, I'd love for you to leave a review. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us at Enga Unite. Join the community and become a member of the Teach Yoga in English support group on Facebook. Practice, rest, repeat, and all will come.